We all need gis, rash guards, and a bunch of gear to train jiu-jitsu. Here at Roll Academy, we've been using Fuji Sports for a very, very long time, but more importantly, they've been sponsoring the Roll Radio podcast for over a year at this point. Gary?
Yeah, I'm checking out the website right now. Anything you could possibly need, but the new stuff, this American Grappler stuff, is amazing. It's so slick looking. Rash guard shorts, really cool. Giant eagle on it. It is nice. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, they've got the Be a Menace Happy No Gi lineup. So as you're getting choked out, you're looking up at the nice smiley face emoji. Anything you could possibly need, you can find at fujisports.com.
You have questions, I have answers. I started a brand new podcast just recently that's available on all podcast platforms and YouTube. It's called Ask a Black Belt. Very simple. You drop me questions, I answer them. Very simple, 5-6 minutes. Gary, have you heard it?
I have heard it, and I really appreciate it. How do those questions get to you?
Well, listen, you can message me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. But you can also comment on any post that I make, and I try to genuinely answer the questions as fast as I can, and they get posted 3 times a week as it is right now.
Beautiful. Ask a Black Belt. Check it out on your favorite podcast platform.
Welcome to Raw Radio.
We're live.
Here we go. This is it. I just had a really good time. I was super shitty earlier today, and now I'm not quite so shitty.
You know, I didn't send this. I wanted to say this during the conversation with Kristina, but I didn't. And but I know when you are passionate about something because you curse a lot.
Do I start swearing? Yeah, that's the real me.
You start swearing.
Dude, it's so hard not to swear on the mat in front of the kids and stuff. You have no idea. You have no idea. It's like, that's why if I ever get fired from here, other than that my jiu-jitsu sucks, it's going to be because I swore on the mat in a kid's class. You know,
you are awful. Why? Why do you need that? Why you need swear?
I grew up in a very sweary household. My mom didn't swear often, but when she did, she let it fly, and you picked up a lot of words that you didn't know were part of the vernacular. And I got good ones. I have
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
I love them for different reasons. I use them all in all different scenarios. I think swear words are fantastic, and a lot of people think that when you swear, it's like, you really can't articulate what you're trying to say. No, I think I use it as punctuation. It's a beautiful way to punctuate. I don't swear at you. I use it
to emphasize your point.
Yes, within the conversation to let you know how passionate I am about something.
Oh, yes, you are. Well, if you want to hear Gary swear, listen to Kristina's episode.
I don't think I didn't. Did I?
Oh, yes, you did.
I? Oh, is that why you were looking at? I thought you were looking at me like because I was saying something intelligent. Maybe he was like, I want to reach across this desk and stop swearing. Our listeners are adults.
Hopefully they are.
Wow. Yeah. I can't imagine that we could.
Well, listen, we do mark this as explicit
grab the
content,
attention span of a kid. I don't think kids would be listening. Although we did talk about Frozen with her. Right?
I'm telling you, this conversation with Kristina was mine. But it was deep, but at the same time, it was funny. We touched on some good stuff. But what did we take away?
I took away rubber ducking.
Rubber ducking. What the hell is rubber ducking? I had to look this up. I've never heard.
And it's funny because when she said it, people don't know Thomas. If you're an engineer, you're already one of Thomas's favorite people. And she said it was an engineering term. And basically what it is you have a rubber duck, and I think they actually use rubber ducks, and you articulate your problem to that rubber duck.
Yeah, so I actually looked this up. So it comes from a programmer environment where the coders, the programmers, were explaining line by line of their code to an object, and they did use rubber ducks, but it says that you can use anything. You can use anything as long as it doesn't respond back to you, and you had to simplify the language to explain what each line of code meant, and that was part of a troubleshooting where you were getting out of your head and looking at it backwards, meaning it was coming back to you, and that's how a lot of mistakes and troubleshooting was getting resolved in there. I was just, I was just trying to visualize this office of programmers walking around with a rubber
With a
duck,
rubber duck in their hand.
and
We're all going to take a bath.
troubleshoot their own code. Like, I'm curious, does anybody do that? Like, do people actually talk to their rubber duck? Like,
Well, when we decided I don't know if they do or not. I hope they do. I really hope they do because it's a fun visual. But I think, what it does is it helps you to admit there's a problem, articulate the problem, and then solve the problem on your own. And I always think when a problem is solved on your own, you learn more than you would have if somebody just feeds you the information.
And again, this is just one article that I pulled up, right? But that was a big point of emphasis, that you're troubleshooting the article without even Googling it, without looking at another resource.
Yeah, you're your own resource, right? And then you become a little smart. You're wiser at that point. Yeah.
You know what's interesting about this? Now, like, this is how I troubleshoot, actually. And I had no idea this existed, but this is how I troubleshoot a lot of jiu-jitsu. If I find something that is an obstacle I cannot figure out, or I'm working on something new, I literally talk out loud to step by steps or concept by concept, trying to manipulate the situation, and that's how I troubleshoot. I had no idea I was rubber ducking.
I think it's similar to like writing things down. Like if you write down the problem, then you're going to start writing down the answers underneath it. Yeah. So I think it's a great tool because it makes you be a little more self-reliant, and I think that self-reliance really helps in a lot of different aspects of your life, whether on the mats or off or whatever.
Coincidentally, in our intermediate class earlier this week, before we got closed for freaking 7 feet of snow, we did something similar. And again, this is all coincidental at this point, but we had small groups all around the mat, and between the partners, they were supposed to figure out a situation from a back control. And it was up to them which situation they were troubleshooting. But I asked them to figure out one situation that's most common and most successful to them, right? And so we had, I think, 6 or 8 different couples, and they all came up with different positions, different submissions, different attacks, different transitions. And then once they presented to the class, we talked about it a little bit, and then they went back, and the second task was, well, how do you shut that down right now? So literally they had to develop a situation that is strong point of theirs, and then they had to create a solution how to shut it down. It was a very interesting exercise. Cool. Yeah. It was a very interesting exercise because everybody was like, well, wait a minute. Now you want me to shut this down? Yeah. Now I want you to literally explain to your partner what works well, and then how to troubleshoot that, and then literally how you counter that, right? So part of the reverse engineering mind.
Is that rubber ducking? I think it is, in a way. It's all tied in, right?
The fact of talking to your partner or explaining to your partner, that's the rubber ducking part.
Yeah. They're the rubber duck at that point. But I think, what I love about doing that is it helps you. I think it really makes you internalize, or not internalize, externalize. You're coming, all these things that are floating around in your head and emotions or whatever, because whatever you're discussing with your rubber duck. I think it really helps unburden you. Yeah. And then you're really clear headed at that point, and you see, we talk about the why often. Now you start seeing the why. Why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. Why is this happening? Why do I need to do things differently? All that stuff starts coming into play. And I think it's great, a great tool. And it's funny because we didn't know what it was until just a few minutes ago.
But yet we've been doing it.
In a way. Yeah. And I think it's one of those things that people, you probably, we all see these little self-help tips or learn something from a motivational speaker or whatever. And you're like, oh, that's great. And you write it down and you don't go back to it. Mm-hmm. Or you do once or twice. And then somehow it just gets lost in the insanity of everything else. But I think this is one of those tools where every time you have a situation, if you say it out loud, it probably makes you own the response a little bit more. If you say it, because then you're kind of admitting that there's a problem, right?
Listen, I found myself in several times when, I'm going through it in my mind, and it all sounds logical and it's all awesome. And the moment I write it down or speak out loud, it's like, damn, I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Boom.
Well,
how didn't I see that?
yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like the moment
Yeah.
you get it out of your head, it was like, how the hell did I miss this? Like
Right.
I've said this 50 times and I still didn't.
It's a forest through the trees. It's all that stuff. It's always right in front of you. It's
Right.
Are you willing to see it?
Right,
Are you
step
willing
back.
to really, take
Yeah.
a look at yourself
Yeah.
or take a look at the situation, put yourself, it's
Yeah.
almost like an out of body experience
Mhm.
or when we were talking to Kenny a couple weeks ago, he was talking about like the battlefield and you got to rise above
Mhm.
metaphorically the battlefield and look
Mhm.
down at it. And you have to put yourself in those situations, I think, to really see all the moving parts and the pieces and how they affect each other and how
Mhm.
how they've affected you,
Mhm.
and then how you're going to affect others or the
Mhm.
situation with how you process all that information and react to it.
Yeah, I mean that's the key, right? To continue evolving and figuring stuff out. So especially in jiu-jitsu, especially on the mat,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that question arises often, it's like, how do I troubleshoot? How do I figure stuff out? How do you, I can't ask the instructor, I can't, what I mean? It's not as accessible. I don't have time, or I have an idea, during open mat even, what I mean? How do you troubleshoot these things? And I think this actually could be a phenomenal way. Don't bring a rubber duck on the mat, okay? However,
I'm bringing one on the mat. They're having it in my gi.
However, you could probably, just verbalize it out, and see if you can go through
Yeah,
the chain of actions that are taking place. And I'm pretty confident a lot of us would be able to catch the mistakes or the adjustments. We would be able to see them.
Yeah,
right?
I think a big problem that people have in the beginning of jiu-jitsu and, and they can take it years in. We've talked to high-level people who said it took me years. I was a purple belt. I was a brown belt. Even I was a black belt before. But take those moments. You always have moments within a role to ask yourself a question. What is happening here? What is he, I'll see, I'm around a lot when you're doing privates and semi-privates. What is he really controlling? What's really happening? And the person will give you 4 or 5 answers before they get to the real one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could still do that. You can do that in the moment while you're on the mats. What is he really controlling here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nope. I guess that's not it. Oh, nope, that wasn't it either. And then you'll get to 3 or 4 and be like, oh, look at that. Store it, for later. Now you just learned something. And I think that's a great, you don't have to actually have the rubber duck with you. But I think when you ask yourself those questions in the moment, the answer's there. It's there for everybody. I think more often than not, you'll be able to find it and start piecing things together. And are you going to escape? Maybe, maybe not. Are you going to submit? Maybe, maybe not. But the next time you're in that situation, you'll have an answer to that question. Now there might be a second question, a third, a fourth, a fifth, but you've already got one tucked away. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
And in addition to all this, I'll take this even deeper, right? Like we always have, the moment we stop having questions, this is when we get bored and we kind of dissolve this curiosity point, right? So being curious is actually a good thing. Having questions is a good thing. But in my mind, before you start asking questions or start doing research or reaching out towards external resources, really self-troubleshoot. Do some rubber ducking, right? Yeah. And see if you can eliminate some of the contention points, some of those things that you can resolve by yourself.
Right.
One, that eliminates the amount of questions that you might have. But 2, you actually might find an answer without reaching out, right? I think we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We are.
Just slightly I think different perspectives. That's all.
There's a clarity involved when you do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There is an insane amount of information when you seek external answers. I don't think you got to weed through all of that. So not only are you weeding through all the stuff that you're carrying around in your own head, now you're weeding through all the stuff that people are putting in front of you with their interpretations, their answers. their baggage, I'm talking on and off the mats, that you got to weed through all that shit too. Where are they coming from?
You're getting passionate.
I'm getting passionate again. I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense or not, but I'm passionate. But so you have to dig through all that stuff just to get really back to your perspective, your train of thought, your ideas on this or that situation. It always comes, you're going to get all this information from outside, but then you're going to end up figuring it all, weeding through it and coming up with your own answer anyway. I think rubber ducking maybe helps you skip a lot of that. And you just go directly to, who am I? What do I think about this? How am I going to deal with this situation? You don't have to worry about how they do it.
Well, in my mind, if we ask a question and we get the answer, we got 1-to-1 and we are done.
Yeah.
This is process ended, right? When we do this, for the sake of this conversation, when we do some rubber ducking, right? We go through a process of troubleshooting, resolving things. We might be resolving it along the way to getting the answer that we want. We're actually going through experience of learning how to evolve this problem or this obstacle, this situation, which might not necessarily be short. Right? This could take a long time. It could take multiple attempts, multiple failures, and so on. But we're developing the system of self-troubleshooting.
Yeah.
And we do this once, twice, 50 times, 100 times over a period of longer time. Now our skill of troubleshooting, now we are self-sufficient.
Right.
We can be more effective with resolving problems versus just seeking an answer.
Sure. It's I learn how to untie the knots.
There you go.
Right?
I heard that. Someone smart said that.
Yeah, that wasn't me. But like you got a little kid in your life, and watch the frustration they go through when they're trying to untie a knot, and then you go do it for them, and that frustration's still there. There's another knot, and it just keeps going and going. But if you make them with compassion and understanding, you got this. You could do this.
Is that why failure is so important?
I think so, because
during that process.
Well, if you can accept it and learn from it, absolutely. And I was just going to think of something else that Kenny said. I know we're coming off of Kristina's episode, but I think there was a lot of similarities. Kenny was talking about his kids and telling them you can do hard things.
Yes.
Right. So I think that you have a hard thing in front of you. When you say it out loud to your rubber duck or whatever else you want to use, you can work through that hard thing on your own and figure it out on your own. I know for some reason right now I'm thinking about people literally looking in a mirror and saying these things to themselves in the mirror. And there you go. You're going to work it out on your own.
I don't know if rubber ducking works in the mirror.
Wow. I don't know either. But it's going to it makes you solve the problem. It makes you do the work. And I think when you walk away from that, now you've got some more knowledge and some more wisdom than you had prior to it. And if somebody just gave you the answer or untied the knot for you, you don't have the knot anymore, but what did you really learn?
Yeah. I mean, the whole point here is to present that information out and simplify it. So as you're doing that process takes place outside of your head.
Yeah.
Why are you smiling?
What did
Kristina call you? What did Kristina?
She didn't call me anything. She said I was a great podcaster. She said
clearly you didn't listen to the same episode I did.
I'm not bringing. You can either say it or don't. We can move on. Gare Bear? There we go. Yeah, I thought I was through with Gare Bear, but 25 years later, here comes Gare Bear again. So
that's cute.
It is cute. I'll embrace it. I'll embrace it. You can call me Gare Bear. You can call me on the mat. You can call me Gare Bear.
I will.
All right.
I will.
All right. Here we go. Gare Bear. How are we going to end this now? This is so stupid and awkward.
It's awkward for you, not me.
It's awkward for the listener because they're probably like, is this over?
They probably hung up by now. It's done.
All right. Well, then for the couple people that are listening, I apologize for the last 2 minutes of this. Peace.
Later.
Thank you for listening to Raw Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.